Yo, the enemy's public, I gotta keep my eyes open. Pay attention, stop walking around like you blindfolded. This not the World Cup, but Nasir be kicking knowledge. This is the type of information you can never learn in college. It's time to fight back, it's no more trying to play it cool. We got interviews, podcasts, and got the latest news. So sit back and relax, we about to get it started. Earth is a canvas, and guess who's the con artist? They brainwashing us, the system corrupted. You are now rocking with the enemy's public. You are now rocking with the enemy's public. I said you are now rocking with the enemy's public. Hey.
And welcome to The Factor Uncensored. We've never strayed away from uncomfortable conversations. Tonight is no different. We're talking about how some black officers, law enforcement officers around the country may be and may have been tougher and uglier to people of their same race, other black people. Case in point, Tyrone Nichols, or Tyree Nichols. Nichols died days after taking a beating from 5 now former Memphis police officers, a place I lived a long time ago. Now, the officers stopped him for reckless driving nearly a month ago. Police have not publicly released a video showing what all happened. His family watched a copy on Monday and compared the footage to the 1991 beating of Rodney King. All 5 officers have been fired from the force. We know this is not all black officers, but some. Some are unusually hard on other black people. All of my guests served in law enforcement positions. Joining me now here on The Factor Uncensored is Constable Herschel Smith, retired HPD Sergeants Kenneth Perkins and Todd White. So, Constable, let's start with you. You and I had this conversation just Tuesday, and you said this is something that you've always known. Mm-hmm. And in fact, you wanted your son, not just because of black officers, but officers in general, out of Waller County, where you are a constable.
Exactly.
You sent him to Florida.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of times, as African American, once we get stopped, a lot of people, they are nervous, they're afraid. I myself, I'm a police officer, and even when I get stopped, I'm traumatized sometimes when I get stopped. Because I don't know who's going to come to my car, and I've been in situations, things happen when I was in the military.
You were a constable elected in office, and you found yourself pulled over on the Beltway, under arrest by another constable's office.
Right.
Tell us about that really quick. And what was that like for you?
It was very traumatizing, and you're very traumatizing. And when I got out of the car, before I got out of the car, I was afraid. I kept my hand on the steering wheel. I kept looking in the rearview mirrors. I saw guns at me, and I'm wondering what in the heck going on.
You're a constable, right, in your unit,
in my unit, in my patrol, in my uniform, all of the above. But they did not have any respect for me as an African American. And once I told them I was elected official, they even ignored that. They ignored all of it.
And what was more hurtful for you, the worst person on the scene was a black deputy.
Well, it was African American, and he the one, they told him to put the cuffs on me. I said, why are you telling him to put the cuffs on me? Y'all put the cuffs on me, And he was like eager to do it, just eager to put the cuffs on me. And then once he put the cuffs on me, he attempted to put me in a car. I said, you're not putting me in a car. I haven't done anything wrong. I refused to get in the car with him.
Sergeant Perkins, I've known you for many years. When this subject comes up, is this a subject that's real, that some black law enforcement officers are tougher on blacks than they are any other race?
Well, let me say this, and I could be perfectly honest about the situation. I have never experienced this during my career where I've seen black officers being tougher on minorities. It's always been my position. The same treatment I treat every other person, regardless of their race or gender. I applied the law even across the board. And as a supervisor, I've always instilled that into the younger officers that was under me. All of my subordinates, I instilled that because I know perhaps I've seen these things happening with other races of officers where they inflict punishment on people of my ethnicity, and it just wasn't right. So I just went by the letter of the law.
Got it. So you've never heard or seen this happen before?
I've never seen it personally.
Okay. Sergeant Todd White, retired now. Your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm kind of like Perkins. I hadn't seen it before, but I guess I was a little naive because at this point I'm a criminal defense attorney,
Mm-hmm.
and I defend clients, and I find that officers, to my surprise, fabricate evidence, lie, and do a lot of things that I didn't believe they did when I was a police officer. I'd never seen it as a police officer. As a defense attorney, I'm seeing it, and I'm seeing it happening to blacks. I don't know if it's more of a socioeconomic problem. I think that's a part of it because blacks tend to be disproportionately in poor neighborhoods, and then the police, take advantage of them because they know they don't have the recourses to fight back. And I've seen that happen. But
now, this is not just white officers, though, right? Who may take advantage.
No. Matter of fact, I defended a case where it was a black and a Hispanic officer that, stopped the guy, no probable cause, put him in jail. We went to trial and got the conviction overturned. But he was a poor guy in a black neighborhood, and they stopped him because he said he's walking in the middle of the street. Well, in the poor neighborhood, there was no sidewalks. Everybody's walking in the street. It was 2 ditches. It was a street of 2 ditches.
Right.
So, because they lacked probable cause, they just threw the catch-all out there that they throw in the poor black neighborhood. Oh, he's walking in the middle of the street, which gives them carte blanche to just stop whomever they see walking down the street. The hell with the Fourth Amendment.
There you go. So, Constable Smith, one of the things you and I talked about when it comes to this problem, this issue, I don't know how Sergeant Perkins has never seen it because I've heard of it as a reporter. People have called me, and I've talked to people. I've experienced it. And sometimes it's the black officers. That is the worst. I just don't know how you have missed that in all of your years of experience.
Right.
But Constable Smith, let's bring you back into this conversation. It's also a lack of respect for the black officer, too, when it comes to a black suspect. You and I talked about that.
Right.
If black people are not giving black officers respect, then there's something building up in them, an anger or a frustration.
Right.
Where if it's not happening, if you're not that quid pro quo, you're not giving me respect, I'm not giving you respect, then I'm going to treat you like crap.
Right. And it's I'm going to look at that from a cultural standpoint. When I say a cultural standpoint, when you work in an environment where you probably one of the few, one black officer among so many others, HPD hadn't been like that in years, but they have had situations like that. But whenever young officers get started in the business, they become a part of that culture. And that culture has been the WA. The WA, the WA is the whoop ass. They had that whoop ass thing going on back in the early 70s and 80s real bad in the black community. And me as an activist seen all this here. And then when I became a police officer, everybody was shocked. There was people that was asking me, what you coming into business for, to be one of us or to spy on us? But the culture was like that. So therefore, black young officers, they wanted a job. So they just did things that they was misled to do, even on the scene, they do things they misled to do. And even when I came into business and began to, at my early age as elected official, I saw a whole lot of things and I used to talk to black officers, why are you acting like that? You don't have to act like them. This is your culture. You can communicate to a person better than you communicate to them. And I tell the citizen the same thing. Why are you talking to me like that? But they rather talk to us like that. But when it comes down to the counterpart of other people that work around us, which is another race, but the black and brown always had to suffer the repercussions from our own community.
So, Sergeant Perkins, I'm giving you one last chance. You show you ain't seen nothing. It ain't like you snitching on here. It ain't like you snitching.
Look, you got to understand, I worked all across the city of Houston, the white area, Hispanic area, and black area. It's probably because I wasn't going to tolerate that type of behavior. It may have started to go in that direction, but I diffused it. So it wasn't like I was going to mistreat anyone, especially in my presence. That was not going to happen.
But you never heard anything either.
No, not until recently. Now, I kind of in the wind, but maybe I just didn't see it.
What does the wind mean? What does that mean?
Well, a few days ago, right before I come on the show, something like that. But Isaiah, I'm for what's right, and I'm for righteousness. I can't say what no one else sing, but I can tell you what I didn't allow on my scene. Even if I felt the rising of it coming up, I diffused it immediately because I wasn't going to tolerate that type of behavior.
All right. We want to thank you all for joining us. Sergeant Perkins, Sergeant White, now Esquire White, and Constable Smith. Thank you all for joining us. Here
Yo, the enemy's public, I gotta keep my eyes open. Pay attention, stop walking around like you blindfolded. This not the World Cup, but Nasir be kicking knowledge. This is the type of information you can never learn in college. It's time to fight back, it's no more trying to play it cool. We got interviews, podcasts, and got the latest news. So sit back and relax, we about to get it started. Earth is a canvas, and guess who's the con artist? They brainwashing us, the system corrupted. You are now rocking with the enemy's public. You are now rocking with the enemy's public. I said you are now rocking with the enemy's public. Hey.